Rich McCormick from Georgia's 7th District, Republican, goes on CNN and explains why funding freeze for publicly funded school breakfast and lunch, not that big of a deal.
Look, I mean, that is a valid goal, right, to save money and be more efficient, right? But the bottom line is, right now with this freeze, vulnerable populations could be directly impacted. And so my question to you, just to follow up with you, would you support getting rid of, school lunch for vulnerable kids and breakfast and Head Start, for example, and getting rid of childhood cancer research? Do you support that? And what do you say to your constituents? I want to follow up on that question too, because I didn't hear an answer from you.
Sure. So I'm an ER doc, and I know that philanthropy is where you get most of your money for childhood cancer research, for example. And it's not just you look at what the president just proposed, a $500 billion spending bill on AI to produce cancer early detection in the first stage on most body parts. That's his spending bill where he wants to increase cancer research. So it's just about what part of the money it comes out of. When you talk about school lunches, hey, I worked my way through high school. I don't know about you, but I worked since I was, before I was even 13 years old. I was picking berries in the field before we had child labor laws that precluded that. I was a paper boy. And when I was in high school, I worked my entire way through. You're telling me that kids who stay at home, instead of going to work at Burger King and McDonald's during the summer, should stay at home and get their free lunch instead of going to work? I think we need to have a top-down review.
I think you're painting a
think
lot
about
of
where
these kids
kids
with a
need to
broad
actually
brush.
be.
I would say that's not necessarily a fair assessment of all of the kids. So you would say all the kids in your district who use the free lunch, for example, or breakfast, they're all just sitting at home and not working. Okay, I just want to clarify because that seems like what you were trying to insinuate.
This gives us a chance. This gives us a chance, though, to see where is the money really being spent. Who can actually go and actually produce their own income? Who can actually go out there and do something that makes them have value and work skills for the future? I mean, how many people got their start in fast food restaurants when they were kids versus just giving a blanket rule that gives all kids lunches in high school who are capable of going out and actually getting a job and doing something that makes them have value, thinking about their future instead of thinking about how they're going to sponge off the government when they don't need to. We don't give people value. We don't give them the ability to dig themselves out when we penalize them for actually working and actually keep them on welfare. That's what's been the inner city problem for a very long time. We need to have a top-down review so we can get people out of poverty, because you know what? America's very good at creating jobs and giving people worth, and we've been very traditionally good at that, but we're losing our way. And that's when we give people incentives to stay at home and not work. That doesn't work for America.
But a lot of these kids aren't even of working age. They're young kids, and as you well know, and also some of the kids at Head Start, they're
that's why I mentioned labor
under.
laws.
Yeah, that's why the problem is that our labor laws, or child labor laws, are getting in the way. How this guy's not played on a loop over and over again.
A top-down review, meaning a congressman originally elected to the wealthiest congressional district in the United States of America, which is what McCormick was in Georgia. Let's see what he says about kids going hungry.
Let's see how many kids actually go hungry and get malnourished, and we'll see. And then we can get a sense of how many we really need to feed.
And maybe they could go work at McDonald's instead. They probably offer a lunch break. Have a McChicken instead of something the government, sponging off the government, eating, lunch food.
Well, hold on. Here's Hakeem Jeffries. He's going to jump in. Don't worry, God will take care of it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, we as a society are just not up to the moment. It really does feel like that.
We're on the wee part of the slippery slope that we've been on for a while.
Edward Gregorian, SB 286 was introduced in the Senate trying to make masking in public illegal. In the U.S. Senate? Also, Gregorian says that loop in Vegas can do 4,500 people an hour. What can your little subway do in New York?
Significantly more than that.
He's being facetious.
Right, I know. People don't know that, though.
In an hour, it probably moves hundreds of thousands.
Elon was just straight up lying about that subways were inefficient compared to his stupid, tunnel. JJ,
federal employee here. Should I take the buyout and resign? Can you repeat that about the rescinded email? Well, the email's the email is not rescinding the buyout thing. It's rescinding the freeze, the blanket freeze across the Fed. Hey, folks, once again, Trump's personnel picks are all about loyalty over expertise. He named election denier Kari to lead the Voice of America. That's the U.S.-funded broadcaster meant to provide unbiased news to global audiences. Well, Ground News found hundreds of articles covering this, all concerned about VOA's editorial independence. But you'll still find the America First crowd arguing that this appointment will, quote, restore balance and fairness. Yeah. In reality, we're losing independent journalism and government transparency, setting the stage for propaganda masquerading as credible information. That's why I've trusted my partners at Ground News for years to help me critically analyze the news I consume. They're the only app that's not telling you what to think. Instead, they gather all the headlines, organize them by story, and then add data to each outlet's bias, their credibility, and their financial incentives, so you know exactly who's benefiting from the spin. Take it one step further and filter out questionable sources to stay on top of what's happening without getting buried in the noise. Trump is shaping our future in ways that's going to last for decades, and if we're not paying attention, we're letting history repeat itself. So stay engaged with Ground News, who's fixing what's breaking right in front of us. Trust and transparency in the media. My viewers save 50% on the same unlimited access Vantage plans that I use every day to track these stories and prep for my show. So go to ground.news/majority or scan my QR code to subscribe. Once you start reading the news this way, it's going to be very hard to go back. Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.